Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, guys. This is Bruce. Happy Thursday. A much happier Thursday now that we are out of that trade. Oh, man. I hope you guys are smiling as much as I am because that trade looked pretty rough for a couple of days. I knew we would be okay on it. Um, and the whole reason I knew that is as long on any of these trades, as long as you can stay under the tent top. If you're out here in the middle and your P&L is way down, don't worry so much about that. As long as you can keep it contained, the theta will kick in and it'll work out usually. So I'm so glad that one did. Also, as we know, the theta, so the trade expires tomorrow. So you get the most theta in the 2, 3 days, 1, 2, 3 days before expiration is when you get the most theta. And, so that really ramps up your possibility or your likelihood of being able to get out of trade, and all that kind of stuff. So, um, watching quite a few different variables on this trade. Another thing for you Greek enthusiasts like me, the gamma starts ramping up in the last couple of days too. So what that does, that makes a gap this way. It makes this delta is actually a lot more than it seems because this gamma will ramp up the delta. So that makes it makes a small move a little more amplified, especially as you get later in the trade like this. So that's what we always got to watch out for. But anyway, high five to everybody that stayed in it and fought it. That was we've actually had a lot harder trades than that. The adjustment process was pretty simple on this, but the moves were pretty dramatic, that we've had in the last couple of days. 200 points up and, back and forth and whipsaws and all that kind of stuff. So I want to go through, let's just go through the whole thing, start to finish real quick. Just to, this is a great learning example of not only calendars, a calendar trade, it can a diagonal trade, butterfly trade, all kind of trading. This can kind of give you um, ideas and all that kind of stuff. So I want to walk through just the thought process here, and again, it can help you in all of your trading. So we put this thing on last Friday, right there on October 30th with a single calendar here, and last Friday we were here. Friday, that's the futures. The black is the is the day session, cash session. So we were here, and I don't remember when we put this thing on. I think kind of about midday, I believe. Maybe it was later in the day. Anyway, we were going down, 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 taking out lows, new low on the year, that kind of thing. Um, Sunday night, we started getting this rally, and then boom, 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 straight up, and then come down, head fake, and straight up again. So, you know, big rally there from 38.20, um, coming from 35.71. That's 249 points. 249 points in 2 days, 3 days, right? So anyway, face ripping, short covering rally, that's the worst. You get those in bear market, that's the worst. I don't think this thing is over by any stretch. Um, and there's going to be some data coming out next couple of days you guys need to be aware of. We'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, when we started this trade, I looked at a couple of double calendars and all that kind of stuff. We were about 36.25 on Friday. And I was looking at, starting a double calendar, on the original trade. But I was thinking, you know, I don't know if I really thought, we were going down, 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 down. And so I was thinking, well, we do something like this on the downside. I'm glad we didn't because, we ripped this way. So I was looking at this and I was thinking yesterday, I can't remember who someone asked me about, deciding on a strike and all that kind of stuff. And it's simply a comparison. You know, I was looking at 36.25 and I said, if we come in and we're fairly well centered in this thing, hold over the weekend, we catch a lot of theta and all that kind of stuff, we should be all right. And we were almost, we tried to close it for about a $400 profit. And again, you know, if we would have been a little more nimble, maybe we should have dropped that down to like 250 bucks and gotten out of it. And then we could have re-entered it, but we would have had to adjust it and defend it, just like we did. But we would have had a little base of profit to start with there. We would have gone through the same motions with the gaps. But in either case, we tried, but we just didn't get out. I know some of you guys did and scalped it. But we started going up. We added this one on to give it some more leg room up here. Baby Bear, I saw that you kept that thing and made 1,900 bucks on it on the original trade, or on the original with that, and I believe this next one. High five, that's awesome. So we had this we kept going higher, 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 higher. Um, Remember, it's 38.20. I know it's ES and SPX, but we were leaving the body of this trade very, very, very quickly. So I said, let's take half off over here, and then we'll add another half on up here, right? Because remember, on defending, and this applies to anything, butterfly, basically condor, anything that you do, you can either you can beef up this side, or you can take exposure off this side, which always remember, it comes back around and you take some off this side and it pushes this side up. It basically takes the delta, it takes that T+1 line from that and it pushes it up, right? And over here, it takes it from here and pushes it down. So we took off half there and then we added 5 there. So that is what we had with our then centered trade. And remember, the P&L on this thing was all over the place. We were down 3,500 bucks at one point, kind of bouncing around 3,100 bucks, 3,000, kind of that thing. But we were still very well centered on the trade, and that's why I'm looking at it going, don't worry too much about the P&L. I even posted, I said, if you're new to this kind of trade, don't worry as much about the P&L right now. If we're down 2,500 bucks or whatever, as long as we're up under the tent, give it a day or two and it should be fine, right? And again, I think this is what Baby Bear kept, those three, and look at that, 1,700 bucks. I think Baby Bear got 1,900 bucks. If we would have kept that, right? At the time, this was here. We sold, and then we rip, took 3,800 out, 38.20. Next stop up here was 38.50. I think I told you I was talking to other professional traders, and they were saying 38.50, 38.75 was in the cards. And I was looking at this going, we've already taken out 3,800 on the ES. We could easily, reach up there to 38.50 and beyond, possibly, if we came in, to a big push higher and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking at it going, we can't really, we can't wait to see, because we're making a judgment call each time. We're saying, with this trade, if we pull back, we're fine. What if we go forward? There's 38.50 right there. There's 38.75. And now, once again, we're outside the body of the trade once again. And this over here is worthless. And we got to add on something up here, that kind of thing. So we're trying to anticipate, looking at charts, looking at levels, trying to figure out where resistance might come in, where support might come in, all that kind of stuff. And honestly, on this trade in the last week, last 4 or 5 days, I have been using, I always use the charts, right? But we've been taking out levels, not only fib levels, but voodoo lines and everything. We just take them out like they're not even there, right? So, yes, the levels, we trade off the levels. They're ultimately, you know, the vast majority of the decision that we make on the trade. But at the same time, if we are up here, well, there's 3,800 SPX. We're sitting here and we have the potential to go here. We want to anticipate that and be proactive, because if we wait till we get out here this late in the trade, you got a day or two left on it, you kind of toast up here, because if you try to add something up here, now it's $9, $10, instead of this $5, $6 stuff, now it's $9, $10. You get less bang for the buck. These things start deflating if we go higher because of volatility. You got a lot of volatility exposure, that kind of thing. So anyway, I was trying to take all that stuff into account. So we added on something up there and we took off the bottom end yesterday, and I was just trying to keep this thing centered. And the way to think about this, if you can keep it somewhat centered, you know, on the trade and hold it overnight and don't have a crazy gap, this theta will take care of us. It'll offset anything over here in general. As long as you're up under the tent, as long as you're somewhat kind of centered in the middle here, again, big gap up or down is going to hurt. So I'm looking at this morning. We came in and I said, oh yeah, this trade's going to be fine. And for me, looking at this going, it's going to be fine, I'm thinking, to me, if we get out of it for a scratch after what we've been through, I would be happy. And Neil is the best terminology for it. He says, you know, you're the mouse trying to get the cheese out of the trap. And once, the trap is the gap in the market, right? And once the trap springs, you forget about the cheese. You just want to get out of the trap, right? You're the mouse trying to get out of the trap. You don't care about the cheese anymore. And that's kind of like me. I'm looking at this going, if we can just get out of this thing for a scratch, maybe even a small loss, 200, $300, I'm happy. The trade obviously didn't work. The trade worked. The market was, on crack or something. And, the structure of the trade is fine if the market doesn't act like it's, on crack. So anyway, looking at this last thing as far as trade management, again, this will help you in the future, I think. I'm looking at this going, okay, let's go ahead and assume that this thing's going to work or it's going to get better. How do we get out of this thing? The best way, the easiest way, etc. So we got 10 contracts here, we got 5 contracts here, we got 3 here. So that doesn't allow us to close it in one trade, obviously. Got 3 legs. So what are we going to do? And as we know, especially you guys that took the mentorship, I do a whole class on this. And if we're coming down, we close this one and we kind of, we work our way down like this. If we're going up, maybe we close this one first and work our way up, etc. But in this case, I said, if we've got 10 here, we got 5 here, we got 3 here. Let's take off 5 here. Let's take off 5 here. That's our first step. That's this one. And both sides are calls. We got calls here, we got calls here, calls here, calls here. So you have to make this a custom order. Simply because we got calls on both sides doesn't make it any different. It's just, you call it a custom order. It's just because you got calls on both sides, right? 5 contracts, 5 contracts. So once we took that off and we waited and waited and waited and waited to get that fill at $17, right? And we got filled, because I'm looking at this going, I even posted a chart. I said, we've got a lot of resistance above us. We got a lot of support below us, probably going to be kind of range bound. And range bound in a trade like this is great with all that theta. So, and I posted too, if we were to hang around till the end of the day and this thing stays somewhere near the center, it's probably going to be worth, I don't know, 2,000 bucks, three. It'll be worth a lot. It should be worth a lot later in the day if it stays centered. But that's great. I'm the cheese, I'm the mouse in the trap now. I don't care about that cheese anymore, even if it's a big cheese, right? I'm worried that this thing gets a foothold and takes off this way, or we just break and this thing starts going this way. And then this whole trade is toast. So, you have to make that decision for yourself. All right. So we take that off. Now the trade's getting easier. We're taking risk off. We're taking cost out. We're taking some profit out. Now we have 5 contracts left here and 3 up here. So let's do a custom order here and take off 3 and take off 3, which leaves us with only 2 contracts on this end, right? So I said, let's park that at 1525. And I said, no, check this out. So once you take that off, and we got 1525 for it, that's awesome, right? But what happens if we gap up? Anticipate this stuff, If we gap up, now we're toast. We're losing money, we go negative. Oh man, we're way up here. We get completely hosed if we gap up. So I said, let's go ahead and get this order in. We'll put it way above what I thought we could get for it. And just be ready to close it quickly. It's only 2 contracts, but I want to be very quick on the draw on this stuff and get out, right? Because, again, with all these trades, if it goes up here, we get hosed. If it goes down here, high five, we make big money, right? If we left those on and come down here, now we're up 700-800 bucks, that kind of thing. But again, to me, mouse in the trap. I don't care about the cheese anymore. I just want out of this trade. We entered both of those as fishing orders, and I'm still pretty shocked. I know you guys were too. We got filled at 1525 and 1525 and 950 both on here for a $555 profit after all that chasing our tail, right? So it worked. I haven't gone back and added up all the commission. Let's say we take 100 bucks out for commission. It's still pretty good considering how bad this trade went against us, instantly too. It was fine on Friday. It was fine Monday for the first half of the day. And then it's like, the fuse was lit and it was off to the races. And so anyway, that especially if you're new to bias or new to this type trade, always anticipate, think ahead. There is definitely, we're not just throwing darts here. We're not guessing. There's always a methodology to the defending moves that we make. We make assumptions, we do the math, we make assumptions and go, okay, if we do this, yes, it will cost money. Is it worth spending the money? Well, let's see. You do a little math. Okay, if we can stay in the trade another day, chances are greatly improved that the theta will come into the trade and it'll, salvage it and bring in a lot of profit, all that kind of stuff. But you got to stay range bound, right? So what are your break evens on the end, right? Here and here. If we're ripping straight up, we need to extend that. If we're going down this way, we need to extend that. Or if we're in the middle, maybe we need to beef this up. There's a lot of cool things we can do, right? But it's a constant game of evaluating what we have by the Greeks and seeing, is it worth it to add the money? In most cases, it is, because with this type trade, when you're adding money, you're actually improving the structure of the trade. Most other type option trades, for example, if we just bought some long calls on Apple or whatever, and we paid 12 bucks for them and they go to 6, is it worth doubling up? Well, that's called adding to a loser in most cases, because you increase, or you get a little bit better cost basis, but you may not substantially increase the structure of the trade. What I'm trying to do is make the overall trade better based on the change that has happened in the market. If you have a long call, long put, that's not the case. So, adding to a loser may or may not work. Defending a trade is in my book, is a completely different thing. So anyway, wanted to go over all that. Hope that helps. Hope it makes sense. These custom orders that we do, don't get confused by that. It's simply anytime you have both calls or both puts on one side, and anytime you have a different number of contracts here, like 4 on one side, 5 on the other side, you can always do a custom order and do that. So not a big deal. So anyway, again, high five on that for everybody that stayed in there. And that also, I haven't even looked, but um, I'll add that on the P&L here in a little bit, but that probably puts us up, I don't know, year to date. We're over 30 right now, so that probably puts us up at least 31, maybe 32. I don't know. So it's all good. All right, let me jump back over here real quick and catch up with everybody because I have not been looking at the questions. Gary, what's going on? Close on money for a profit. Nice. Back in, combined $855. Nice. Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Oh man, it's so nice to be able to go out of town with a, with a win instead of a big giant loser. That would have bugged me. And I tell you guys all the time that it's it's extremely rare that I lose sleep over a trade. I woke up a couple times this week thinking about this trade going, you know, I know I can make it work, but how much money we got to add to it? And, I'm always thinking about everyone in bias. Is everybody going to be able to follow me? And, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty rare that I do that, but this one kind of bugged me. I think mostly because I was going out of town and I said, this thing's going to win or lose. I'm going to take it off on Thursday. So anyway, B Walls, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. Absolutely. And that's actually why, I did want to jump in here and kind of go through this and make sure everybody's is really up to speed because this will help. N7 con, we get the defense on. Looks like a lot better today. Yeah, there was so many ways you could have played this trade. And, again, once you kind of get the gist of what we're trying to do with the trade, if you think differently than me, anyone, play it differently, adds, if you think we're going down, add down here, whatever, or beef up here. Um, Yesterday, I was looking at this. Let me show you this real quick. Instead of doing these 38.50s, let me just look here. I was still going to take that off, but I was actually thinking about adding the 38. I was thinking about adding 5 more here, and they were going for $7.90 yesterday. Let's see what this would have looked like. Yeah, look at that, same thing. So I was thinking about that as a defending move to beef this up, take that off, beef that up. Would have come out just about the same. But we were really close here, and I thought, if we overshoot this thing, then we're kind of hosed out here. So that's why I did the 38.50s instead of 38.25s. And check this out. Those were $8, for 5, or we could get $7 and only do 3. So I'm trying to keep it as cost effective as I can, as well. All right. Tupac, what's going on? What if we add SPX instead? Tupac, I'm not sure. I'm not understanding what you're asking. If we add SPX instead of calls. Oh, you may be saying puts. If you would have flipped these around and done puts, you absolutely could. I didn't, honestly, I didn't check The on that one, I didn't check the difference here between calls and puts. If it's in our, I should have. I was juggling a lot yesterday. Going into the end of the day. But on SPX, we can always, if that's what you're asking, we can always flip around and use puts on the upside, calls on the downside. It's generally better to do puts on the downside, calls on the upside. Um, so, uh, TNT, yes, we're gonna have a lot of Fed commentary coming up. Yeah, get out where the getting's good. uh, PD, yes, absolutely. You could use SPY. Absolutely. It is a it is a very good alternative. It's the really only alternative. You could do SPY and do you could even scale it down in SPY and do 5 contracts or 3 or 7 or whatever you want to do. And if, going forward, of course, we'll be doing more trades. We'll try to do just like on this one, next time we're up 250, $500, and we didn't have any way to know the market was going to rip like that. But, I'm much more inclined to take smaller profits now and sit back and wait. But the next time we do one, remind me and I can help you figure out the strikes if you can't do it on your own. The only time it's different is if you do like a 36.25 or 30, say 37.25, and there's no 327.5, then you may have to move up or down a half point. Not a big deal though. Still works. Rizzo, what's going on? Slightly modified version of the bias trade. Thing will quiet down today for payrolls. Yes, yeah, I agree. I agree. Ton. Look at that theta, 10,000, 10, 11,000 on theta. If we chop around here, I'm telling you, this thing probably gonna be worth, I don't know. I'd say $2,000 by the end of the day. 3 could be. As long as we stay kind of range bound. The VIX is up 0.86. That's helping, definitely. Um, just kind of have your exits already planned, and I would even go so far as to you do the math and say, okay, I want to try to make $3,000 on this thing. What do I need to get? And add about $10 above whatever prices, and go ahead and just get the orders in way, way, way above, so they won't fill. You don't want them to fill, right? So you have your exit orders in place. The only thing that could really mess it up is if we get a vol crush, and generally, unless we go gapping higher, probably not going to get a vol crush. Let's see, Bert, how's it going? Do you take off half and add on the side of primary managed delta? Bert, great question. Yeah, so when we did this move yesterday, it was both. We So that's a really, really good question. Thanks for asking. So if you do this, we're adding um, we're adding space, we're adding room onto this end of the trade because I thought we were going to go higher today. So we do this. It does cut the deltas down some, but by doing this, it cuts it down even more. So there's 37 delta, say 40 delta. By adding on up there, we cut it in half. By taking that off, now we cut them almost flat. So it's both. But look, evaluate each move to see how much benefit you're going to get from cutting the delta, because all that delta cutting, we talk about all the time, but basically all we're doing is trying to maneuver this T+1 line. We want this line to be as flat as possible. Zero, if the deltas are zero, that means that line is zero, which means if it's totally zero and you go up or down and it's zero, you won't have any price movement at all. You still have vol movement, but you won't have any price movement. Now, keeping it flat is not realistic, especially later in the trade, these ends start sagging down. But, by cutting that delta, you push this thing up, that kind of thing on the upside. So great question. It is both. All right, let's see. Craig, what's going on? 2 lots. Nice for $1,005. That is awesome. Craig, you're a great trader. Obviously, you come away with some pretty nice wins. That's awesome. High five. All right, this guy. Yep, as long as we're kind of hanging out, you can let that theta keep coming in. Again, it should come in. And in full disclosure, I've closed this in all my accounts just because I can't, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, so I don't want to get, if we were to vol crush, you could get backed into a corner where you have to hold it overnight. And I can't do that because I just found out a little while ago. My wife said, "Don't forget, we've got a car service coming to pick us up, and the car is going to be here at 3 a.m. in the morning." I mean, it's like I thought it was a little bit later than that, but I'm gonna. I thought we were gonna get up at 3 and leave it, yeah, at 4 or something like that. So she says we will make a pot of coffee and a couple of big mimosas and hit the road. Yes, that's why we have a car service. All right, Tom. Yeah, yeah, Tom. I'm telling you, I really don't ever lose sleep over a trade, and this was not a huge trade. It was more bugging me. And you know how when you're like laying in bed and your wheels are turning, you're trying to figure out something, figure out how to solve a problem. That was what I kept thinking. All right, Optimus. Yes, yes, yes. Um. Oh, N7 Con, if I'm saying that right. Yeah, yeah. That I know the feeling exactly when you just, for whatever reason, you can't. You know, you miss a move or whatever, and again, the question always comes up. Do you pay up or not, and all that kind of stuff, and you get back, and the price is moved, whatever, and just again, just kind of remember the big picture and try to figure out which way is going to make the trade look better. JK, JK, great question. So tomorrow we got payrolls, non-farm payrolls tomorrow. That could be a big deal. So I'd be real careful. And the biggest thing is next Thursday for CPI on Thursday. A lot of Fed speak. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on while I'm out of town. Um, VIX at 29. You could try doing another trade. I mean, I can post something maybe a little bit later in the day, kind of when we get a little bit closer to the end of the day. Um, Thinking maybe, you know, double calendar. You could even start with a single calendar, but I would be very, I would be very careful. There's no way to know, of course, but if it was me, if I was gonna be here, if I was not going anywhere, I would not do anything until after payrolls. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't put on a bias trade until tomorrow. Say mid morning, late morning, probably. Um, and I would probably try to get wherever the current price is, and I would compare a single calendar going out, say, to next week on the 14th, and then maybe a double calendar around the current price. You know, and just look, see what it looks like. You could probably do that tomorrow and take it off by like Tuesday, Wednesday, and you'd be fine. But I personally would want to be flat on the 13th. Pre-market, that's when the CPI comes out. Andrew, thank you. I appreciate it. Uh, Bert, that's Bert. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. That is awesome. And that's actually why I wanted to do this video. I'm gonna record this video and I'm gonna have them, for, anybody that misses it, just for trade management kind of stuff. All right, all right, all right. Thank you, Andrew. Um, DC. You can absolutely do it from the Greeks. Your delta is your directional move right there. If I did not have this visual, I would be glued to this watching it. Um I haven't had to do that in a long time. I used to do it before Toss was even around. I was doing it literally like pencil and paper, trying to figure out break even points and all that kind of stuff. Um, there's not really a great answer to that because, but you can manage by the Greeks. You can just watch the Greeks. Anytime you get, if you're going up, if you're going higher, you're going to get negative, higher, your bigger negative number, right? So anytime that number gets over, say, I'm just throwing it out, I'm off top of my head, say maybe negative 15, 20, you got trouble. Same thing on the downside. If you're going down, you need negative deltas, right? So if you get a big plus delta, plus 10, plus 15, plus 20, you need to start balancing it, right? So I hope that helps. All right. Um, yes, JK, that's great. Any logic put the long strike on Thursday because the vols are going to rise, maybe short strike on Tuesday. Yeah, I haven't looked at it, but that's a great idea. We know the vols are going to rise on Thursday, coming up into that CPI number. They'll rise on Friday too, but yeah, you'll get a rise on Thursday. The best thing is just price it out. I couldn't say without looking at it, but that's always be aware of how that volatility is going to come in and out. Chris, yes, you just got to be. I used to do the knee jerk reaction thing all the time, and if you do that, sometimes it's better to jump in there quick and do something. Most of the times it's not. Most of the times it's better to be patient. Um, because the worst thing you want to do is put something on one end and then have a big reversal, and then you got to put something on the other end, and you just throw in a lot of money in there, and then there's no rhyme or reason. So yeah, got to be patient with these things. Grinding out theta. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. JM, I got out from the first trade with profit. Nice. Yeah, I would have preferred to do that, honestly. It's crazy, one day apart. JK, no, it's not. If it prices out and looks okay to do them one day apart, that's better. Generally, you get a little more time on that back strike. It holds up better. It doesn't decay as fast. Um, but I would say with any trade over the next week, just be careful because you're gonna have vols moving around, and maybe the market gets a whiff of this number, that number, and you get some crazy gap. Just be careful. But I'll update again into the end of the day. If I see anything looks good, of course I'll post it. I'm going to be trading into the close. We'll try to get a lot of ticket and that kind of stuff. But um, other than that, I will be this time tomorrow. I'll be in Costa Rica, and I'll be back. We're flying back on Thursday. I'll be back in the office on Friday. I've got a good lineup for you guys with Cody and Neil. I still haven't talked to Danielle. I'm going to try to get her to pop in and do a session or two. So anyway, again, I'll update, as we go into the end of the day today. And this, I will have this recorded for just from a trade management standpoint, and put on the dashboard in the archives. So that might help. But other than that, you guys have a great week while I'm out. Be careful. Lots coming out, especially tomorrow and Thursday are the biggies. Um, and when I get back, we will put the hammer down and start try to make some more money, keep it going. We're coming up onto a mentorship too. They're going to squeeze one in here at the end of the year. So we're going to do a mentorship in about 3 weeks or so, I believe. I just found out. So I'll let you guys know as soon as I get back, kind of how that's going to look. But other than that, let me wind it up here. You guys have a great day. Have a great rest of the week. Have a great weekend, and then be careful next week. And I will update through the rest of the day, and we'll try to make a little end of the day trade, and so we'll go from there. So thanks for the time, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.